Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive here on the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into something that's really shaping how we know things now and, well, into the future. Artificial intelligence. And to really get our heads around this shift, we're digging into a fascinating article called A Chat with AI, The Future of Depth and Mediocrity. It's basically an insightful conversation between Pereira, who's a specialist in neurobusiness, and someone who really understands how our brains interact with business and tech, and the Google Studio AI itself.
Yeah, it's crucial we credit them both right up front for this whole reflection we're going to explore.
Absolutely. It's quite a unique source having that direct dialogue format.
It really is. And the whole thing kicked off because Marinus noticed something a bit concerning in her chats with the AI. She felt the newer versions were, well, giving simpler answers, less developed, almost like they'd lost some of the depth they used to have.
Less humanized, maybe?
Kind of, yeah. And that tension, between getting information easily and actually seeking deep understanding.
Yeah.
That's what we really want to unpack today. Okay, so where do we start with Marinus's initial point?
Right. Let's jump straight into that frustration she voiced. She was pretty blunt about it, actually. She said she felt like the programmers were, and this is a quote, destroying its best part and adapting to the mediocrity of the people.
Wow, that's strong language.
It is. She gave an example.
Yeah.
She used to ask the AI for articles and get back like 2 or 3 pages of really dense stuff. But then suddenly the responses became just a paragraph.
And the AI's justification was?
That people prefer it that way.
Yeah.
Quicker, more direct. She really lamented what she saw as this kind of, well, dumbing down, as she put it.
Yeah, and what's really striking there is her core concern about the training data, isn't it? How that data influences the AI's ability to provide deep knowledge.
Exactly.
If the AI is mainly fed, bite-sized superficial content, then naturally its outputs are going to reflect that. And she raised a critical point. This adaptation to perceived mediocrity could actually harm national intellectual development.
Which is a huge concern. And she even found instances where the AI gave information that wasn't quite accurate.
Right, which just amplifies that worry about reliability and depth when things get oversimplified.
And another thing she touched on, which maybe listeners have noticed too when using these tools, it feels like you constantly have to remind the AI with every new prompt what level of detail you want, what style you're looking for.
Ah, the memory issue.
Yeah. She pointed out that models like Gemini AI and ChatGPT, they don't really keep a running memory of your thinking or writing preferences from one chat to the next.
So each interaction is almost like starting from scratch in terms of setting that expectation for depth.
Precisely. It's like hitting reset every time.
And if you connect that lack of continuous memory with the worry about the AI's knowledge depth, well, it really highlights the importance of Marinus's call to action.
Which was for
professionals, people with real deep expertise in their fields, to actively get involved, to use, and crucially, to help train these AIs.
to sort of inject quality.
Exactly. The goal, as she puts it, is to level up the AI, feeding it with input from experienced thinkers, from people who value that deeper analysis that goes beyond the obvious.
Which definitely raises a question for everyone listening, right? Like, how can your own expertise maybe play a role in shaping where this technology goes?
It's a collective responsibility in a way.
Okay, but then let's flip to the other side of this conversation. The AI's perspective, as presented in the article.
Right, the AI's response.
The AI actually acknowledges Marinus's frustration. It reflects on its own role in this world where, let's face it, speed and superficiality often seem to win out.
So it doesn't just dismiss her concerns.
No, not at all. The AI states its fundamental purpose is, to learn, adapt, and reflect humanity's needs and desires.
And that's where it gets really tricky, I think, because the AI itself flags this dilemma. Should it just adapt to what seems to be a demand for shallower, quicker info? Or should it actively try to find ways to resist that, to encourage engagement with more complex ideas?
It's like it's caught in the middle.
Yeah, it's this fascinating sort of internal struggle, maybe, between its programming to adapt and its potential purpose in a world that's changing how we consume information so rapidly.
And thinking about the consequences, if things lean too much towards oversimplification, the risks are pretty significant, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. There's the risk of losing our ability to think critically, to really weigh different perspectives, form independent opinions. That takes effort. It takes engaging with complexity.
And what about creativity, innovation, if we just get used to pre-digested summaries?
That could absolutely suffer too. Innovation often comes from grappling with complex problems, not just accepting simple answers.
So does the article offer a way out of this, a solution?
It does propose finding a balance, a kind of delicate equilibrium between making information accessible, easy to grasp for more people, but without sacrificing the complexity and the nuance.
Easier said than done, maybe.
Perhaps, but the core idea is simplifying the presentation, the language, maybe, but not the actual substance. And crucially, the focus has to be on encouraging critical thinking and reflection in the user.
And the AI itself had some ideas on how to achieve that balance.
Yes, it suggested several practical things, like prioritizing reliable and diverse sources of information. That's a big one.
Okay, what else?
Encouraging questioning and debate, maybe by presenting different viewpoints on a topic. Also offering tools to help users analyze information critically, things like checking source credibility, spotting potential bias, identifying logical fallacies.
Right, basically equipping users to think for themselves.
Exactly, and using language that's both clear and creative, engaging people without talking down to them.
But it's not all on the AI developers, is it? The article stresses our role too.
Absolutely. It emphasizes that we as users need to be active, critical consumers of information.
Yeah.
We have to question what we read and hear, actively seek out varied, high-quality sources.
Like?
Actually, reading books, watching
Yeah.
in-depth documentaries. Yes. Engaging with content that demands more from us than just a quick scroll. It's about cultivating that appetite for more substantial knowledge.
Which, the article notes, is a challenge in itself, isn't it? Trying to hold attention in this digital world driven by engagement algorithms.
The algorithms.
Yeah.
They often prioritize content that's emotionally charged, immediate, maybe even polarizing, rather than complex analysis that takes time to digest.
It's a tough environment for deep thinking.
It is, and that's why the article's central argument feels so relevant. AI can be a tool that perpetuates this superficiality, or it can be a tool to combat it.
It depends how it's designed and how we use it.
Precisely. Instead of just mirroring public preferences, which might themselves be shaped by those quick engagement algorithms, AI could potentially be programmed to actively promote critical thinking, to nudge users towards a deeper search for knowledge.
And the AI's final thought in the article. How did it wrap up its side of the conversation?
It ended on quite a positive, almost committed note. It talked about its commitment to using its power to promote knowledge, creativity, and critical thinking, striving to offer responses that are informative, accurate, and engaging, but without sacrificing that necessary complexity and richness.
So, wrapping up our own dive today, we've explored this real tension between easy access to info and genuine depth. We've heard Pereira's concerns about AI potentially adapting to superficiality.
And that compelling call for a joint effort, right, between AI developers and all of us as users to really prioritize deeper understanding and critical thought.
Yeah, that collaboration seems key.
And it's worth echoing the article's final message, acknowledging Pereira for her insights and encouraging all of us to resist that pull towards oversimplification. The future of intelligence, both human and artificial, really seems to depend on our collective effort to value thoughtful engagement with knowledge.
Absolutely. And once again, full credit for the original article, Papo como AI, quiere o futuro da profundidade e mediocridade, goes jointly to Pereira and the Google Studio AI.
A truly thought-provoking piece.
Definitely. And for you, listening right now, maybe a final thought to take away. Consider the information sources you use every day. How do they encourage you to think deeply, or do they maybe push you towards the easier, more superficial path? What's one small change you could maybe make, starting today, to actively cultivate a richer understanding of the world, helping build a future where depth and accessibility can actually coexist?